Don't anybody panic. Just because the phrase World War III is trending on the Twitter as we speak is no cause for giving up on the comedy purpose in life. I'm Adrian Lacey, speaking to you from southeast England, hooked up via some kind of digital stuff and nonsense with his nibs, Shane O'Connor in the Midlands of England. Are you panicking yet? Have you created a bunker for you and your family?
Yeah, we're keeping the coal in it at the moment. So,
okay.
You see, that's a 1970s joke. Yeah,
yes,
you have to go and
coal,
Google
Grandad?
that. You have to go and Google that one, kids. Can I just ask a question, actually? Because I keep meaning to do this every time you say it.
Yeah.
And it's a phrase that I'm familiar with, but it's just I know you're very good at these kind of things, and you
don't build me up to knock me down.
You take interest in words and their derivatives and all that sort of stuff. What have you got to tell me about his nibs?
Well, that's an interesting one. I've never even looked it up, but I'm going to do it now.
Because I haven't either. And every time you say it, I think his nibs, I must. Because it's a phrase I've been familiar with since I was a kid.
You'll love the definition. It's so appropriate. It says a mock... I know you know what it means, but just so for our international audience... A mock title used to refer to a self-important man, especially one in authority. Oh, I got that bit wrong.
Oh, well, or thinks he's in authority, yeah.
Yeah. But what you're talking about is etymology, are you not?
Yes.
I want to know, what's the roots of the word etymology?
I thought it was entomology, which is why I kept getting those insects sent to me in the post. I thought...
You got insects on the brain.
When's the dictionary come in?
Anyway, early 19th century, bit like yourself, that seems appropriate, of unknown origin, also like yourself.
Oh.
Compare... Yeah, well, we're going to get somewhere with it because there's a bit more to come. It says, compare with earlier nabs, N-A-B-S, used similarly with a possessive adjective as in his nabs, on the pattern... Oh, gosh, where's this going? On the pattern of references to the aristocracy, such as his lordship. Oh, so... yeah, but it doesn't tell us why nabs. It just says nibs comes from nabs.
Weird.
That drives you nuts in the end, doesn't it?
It is nibs in the big house, sir. Yeah. He's ordered it. Yeah, that kind of thing.
That sort of thing, yeah.
Well, thanks for clearing that up. Not.
Cleared up like a rash.
Moving swiftly on.
That was a rash question. Anyway, as we are some way into 2020 now, how are you doing with your New Year's resolutions? Or did you not have any to forget anyway?
No, I resolved not to make any.
Very good. And you kept that?
No, I didn't. Do you don't do New Year's resolutions, do you? Do you do them?
I've got one, which is I've got a bit lazy with my physio. I've got terrible rotator cuffs. I know it sounds dodgy. It sounds like some sort of S&M type thing.
I thought there was something wrong with your shirt.
Or is it M&S? Yeah, my shirt's M&S.
The stitching's gone on my rotator cuff. That's your knees, isn't it?
No, well, if it is, I've really got much greater problems than I thought.
Where are your rotator
cuffs? My shoulders. Don't confuse me, yeah.
Oh.
But actually, they are getting better. That's why I've got terrible with the physio, because it starts to get better. Something needs to get worse for you to be motivated to do something about it. Well, that's how I work, which is not how it should be, but how sadly it is. Then I started to be able to do certain swimming strokes that I was prevented by the pain from before last year. And lo and behold, that gets better because I've been doing my physio. And then, so guess what? I ease up on the physio. Because
that's the thing, you think, well, is it working, or is it just, am I just getting better naturally, or what? I was thinking of cruciate ligaments. Sorry, that's in your knees, isn't it? Those are the...
crucial ligaments.
Crucial. They're crucial, man.
They're crucial, man. Damn it, I heard.
What shift? Because I've got a bad... Look, I can't do that.
I'm not doing medical advice over the web.
I can't do that.
Do you think I am some doctor?
And you know, if I try and do that...
I should explain, dear listener, if you're not a regular listener, you may not know that we can sadly see each other, but we don't impose that particular indignity on you, because that's why you're a listener, not a viewer. But I thought you were going to do the old Tommy Cooper joke, which is, I went to the doctor, I said, I can't do his voice really. I went to the doctor and said, it hurts when I do that. He says, don't do that.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say the other one is because he goes, I went to the doctor and I said, it hurts when I press there. And it hurts when I press there. and it hurts when I press it. He said, you broke your finger.
Excuse me.
Oh, dear.
Fantastic. Oh, wouldn't it be a great job if Tommy was still around to be his writer?
Oh,
but, I mean,
just to interview him, I think it'd be fabulous as well.
Oh, wouldn't it just?
I saw a clip. I was doing some YouTube surfing, as I guess a lot of people do over Christmas. I tell you, it was the death of Neil Innes that was announced.
Oh yeah,
just last week, and I ended up watching the Ruttles.
Oh gosh, yes.
Is it Can't Buy Me Lunch? Or,
something like that. Yeah,
something like that. And anyway, I got kind of like sidetracked, and I ended up finding a serious interview with Tommy Cooper, which I thought was fascinating.
Wow, I didn't know there was such a thing out there.
Yeah, and this guy, I think he was like a near local TV reporter, and he was saying, he said he was kind of saying your jokes are really old. How come people still laugh at them? Does that ever surprise you, kind of thing? And he was saying, yeah. He said, no. He said, you're right. They are quite old. He said, but and he was saying it's about delivery and suspense and all the things that he did so well. It was fascinating to watch. It's only like 3 minutes, but yeah, I thought, oh wow, they managed to catch him off, as it were.
Brilliant. I was going to say, selfishly, send me the link, please. But then I think we might as well tweet it out under @ComedySlab.
Yeah, I actually tweeted a link over Christmas to the Ruttles movie.
Oh,
all you need is cash. That was it. Can't Buy Me Lunch was the second one. all you need is cash. Because I don't know if you know the story of that, but Neil Innes wrote all the songs.
Right. I must be in love.
That's it, yeah. And they were so close that ATV Music, who were the holders of the copyright at the time, sued him for copyright, and I think they settled out of court where, was it Cheese and Onions was another one that he wrote?
Yeah.
And he said he's not allowed to be publicly credited with writing that song. He said, so if anybody ever hears Cheese and Onions, the official authors of it are Lennon and McCartney.
That's weird.
He said, and I said it to Paul McCartney because he knew Paul McCartney. He said, I said to Paul McCartney, he said, what do you think of that? And he went, oh, it's just crazy. It's just, but that was what they settled on, and yeah, they wanted money out of it. They said they were so close that,
which is the ultimate flattery, of course.
Yeah, but he said, it's ridiculous. He said because other people got sued for sounding like the Beatles, and he said we were trying to sound like the Beatles because that was the whole point of the film.
That is the joke. Yeah.
Yeah, but. Can't buy me lunch, and all you need is cash.
The clue is in the title, as they say.
That's what they were trying to do, but...
Lummy. Anyway, R.I.P. Neil Innes, the so-called seventh Python of a Monty variety. We must turn to the subject of the slab this week, or at least let's backtrack to the formula, which is to put a different comedy, be it TV, radio, podcast, whatever, onto the slab of comedy, to prod it about a bit, see if it's got life left in it, if it's a twitch, or whether it's dead as the dodo. And at the end of this podcast, we will give marks out of 5 to the show in question, which is Extras, as in Ricky Gervais's Extras. It's a BBC stroke HBO production, and it's Series 2, Episode 2, otherwise known as the one with David Bowie, sometimes referred to as David Bowie, of course. But I've double-checked with the BBC Pronunciation Guide, or is it Pronunciation? Pronunciation Guide. That old joke.
Which one do you... I say both,
It is. Well, it is. It's officially Bowie, but actually the man himself, maybe partly because it wasn't his name anyway, it's an assumed name. He's a showbiz name, obviously. He's David Jones.
David Jones, yeah.
Wasn't he? Not to be confused with any of the monkeys. He certainly made out as if he didn't care. And I've just been watching an interview with Ricky Gervais on Graham Norton, just a little clip on the YouTube. And Ricky's saying every time Bowie, 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 Bowie. And yet, officially it isn't. But hey, all seems acceptable in love and war.
Wonder if there's a north-south thing, like grass and grass.
Well, there's even a
Bath.
third. Well, I don't know. I don't think it's to do with that because there's a third pronunciation. Well, it's a Scottish name, isn't it? And it's Bowie is, I think, possibly more common in Scotland.
Well, that's what they call the knife in Scotland, isn't it? A Bowie knife. Hey, look how Jock, he's got a Bowie knife.
I see the new. No stereotyping there. Putting on a Scottish accent and talking about knives.
Yeah.
But hey.
And then his mate's called Jock.
You can answer the correspondence. Well, that's that New Year's resolution, not to be, to be cliched and stereotypical.
In my defence and in fairness, his name wasn't Jock. That was just a nickname. His real name was actually Hamish.
I thought you were going to say Angus. I've got an English friend called Angus, so hey, that breaks all the rules known to man, woman, and child. So we'll have 3 audio clips to come back to the comedy in hand, or on Slab. We'll have 3 audio clips, the first of which we're about to hear after I've just set the scene. And I'm going to do a little tease. I mean, we're going to get a headline from you, are we not, Shane? Even in our correspondence over the past week, you refused to give anything away.
Oh, you had a little whittle, didn't you, though?
I did. I tried to. I think Winkle was the accusation. But enough about my little Winkle.
Hello, Twinkle. How's your Winkle?
You're right, Treacle. Anyway, there is an EastEnders link, funnily enough, with extras. But hey, if you've never seen extras, what can I say about it? Well, Ricky Gervais, is it true to say it was his first series post The Office, the success of The Office on the BBC?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah. And he stars, well, it's the opposite of starring in a way, because he plays an extra who's not normally got any lines, or he prefers the term background artist, which gives it a bit more respectability. But he's always trying to hobnib with the stars of the show. There are different fictional shows within shows each week with a different star, and he's trying to get, as it were, to have some lines from the script to deliver. And they usually don't say no to his face, do they? I haven't seen all of them, but the ones I've seen, they usually try to look helpful, and then they may or may not do something. Anyway, Series 2, by then, he has actually gone a bit up the greasy pole of showbiz, and he is starring in his own sitcom. But there is a catch, which is its very lowest LCD, lowest common denominator, called variously. Well, no, the real name is When. I was going to get it wrong, trying to get it right. When the Whistle Blows.
When the Whistle Blows. Yeah.
we'll get to the misnomers later, which itself is a very funny joke. So that becomes another show within a show, and you see it right at the top, and you also see Ricky watching it with Stephen Merchant as his agent, Darren Lamb. So he's arguably sold out a little. Anyway, all of which is to try and remind myself what our first audio clip is. Do you have anything to declare before you give us your headline afterwards?
I have nothing to declare but my genius.
Well, we all knew that.
And also these underpants are too tight. But other than that, I have nothing to declare. No, not really. Only to add to your accurate summation of the show is that I always got the impression that Steve Merchant and Ricky Gervais sat down and said, right, after The Office, how can we write something where we can have a celebrity guest every week? I really
felt that was the starting point.
I've always had that feeling that it was like they sat down and said, right, let's write something. We can have a star guest in it every week. How can we do that? And
is that, are you coming from a position where that's a good thing, a bad thing, you're neutral about it?
Oh yeah, I don't. I mean, it's provided for some real hilarity, hasn't it? And it's also self-evident that the people who are invited to be on it have been delighted to do so and have given stellar performances. I mean, you were saying about the EastEnders link. I mean, one of them is I forget the guy's name now.
We call him Barry from EastEnders. Do you mean?
No, I was thinking of one of the celebrity guests was. Grant Mitchell.
Ross Kemp.
His name? Ross Kemp. I mean, the Ross Kemp episode, I think, is one of the funniest of the whole 2 series. But I don't know. There seemed like they really wanted to. George Michael was in the Christmas special at the end of series 2.
I ended up watching that last week.
Soliciting on Hampstead Heath, wasn't he? And you knew that he was delighted to be in it. He really wanted to be in it. So I kind of thought it had the chemistry, didn't it, really? But yeah, anyway, go on. Sorry. So should we have a clip?
Okay, yes. And here we find our newly famous man, played by Ricky Gervais, is Andy Millman. He chances upon a homeless man not far from where he lives. And you'll either find this very tasteless or very funny, or maybe both at the same time, which Ricky seems to manage. Yes, the perils of either having 8 pence in your pocket or a note. Here we go.
We saw it last night.
And?
Yeah, it was good.
Are you just saying that?
No.
Too long a pause. If you're going to lie, lie well.
Bits of it were funny.
Doesn't count. You laugh at anything.
What?
I found you laughing at yourself once, and I said, what are you laughing at? And you said, my toes.
Oh, yeah. Well, they are funny, though, the way they waggle.
It's you that's making them waggle.
Spare any change?
Sorry, mate.
Okay, have a nice day.
Cheers.
And good luck with the show, Andy.
Cheers. How do you know I am? Where does he watch the show? Through Dixon's window?
No, you've been in all the magazines.
Oh, he reads Heat, does he?
Everybody reads Heat.
Everybody reads Heat. Now I have to start giving money to the homeless.
Why?
Because I don't want people to say Andy Millman hates the poor.
You don't just hate the poor, you hate everyone.
That's why it's so unfair. Sorry, I've only got like 8p in change or a 20.
Just give him a 20.
No, he said change. He said change.
Yeah, whatever.
Cheers.
Your TV show's doing all right, though, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Pay well?
Yep. Have you got anything else? You got like a quid? You haven't got a 10 and a 5, have you?
I haven't.
Of course it doesn't, he's homeless.
I know he's homeless, I'm not blind.
Mind you, I was watching something the other day. I know it's a different thing, but there was this couple in busking, and they said that the way things have changed now, because people don't have money, they've actually got a card machine for busking.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that?
That's a known phenomenon in London, and it's £2 a tap, mate.
Oh, this was only a £1 a tap, because it's obviously outside the M25,
Outside. Oh, yeah.
where real people live.
You don't have London waiting.
Yes.
I'm waiting to have enough money to afford London prices.
There's a lovely thing at the end of that scene, which was just some way down the road, because it's quite a long scene, isn't it, that? But there's a lovely where they walk off in the same direction they've come from. And I thought, I don't remember that before. There's a continuity error. But it's actually, they're going, what are we walking this way for? This is the way we came. We've got to walk past him again now. And even that was a gag. I thought, it's clever. Headline then.
Yeah.
Simple
Shoot.
one. Extra special.
Oh. And you're referring not to the Christmas special, but the whole series?
Whole series.
You're a
very
fan, aren't you?
clever. Very clever. I mean, the more you watch it, the more you analyse it, the more you slice it apart as we do, I found more pleasure in it, oddly enough. It's really weird. I don't know whether you got this as well, because you think, wow, yeah, there's another mechanism there. By that, I mean, is it Ashley Jensen who...
Yes, I should say, so my setup was slightly confusing. So she's playing Maggie Jacobs at the top there before they get to, sort of platonic friend of Andy Millman's in the series, and before they get to the homeless man, obviously. But
I always think there's a lovely, all the way through when you're watching it, that relationship between the two of them. I don't know whether you did as well, but you kind of think, why didn't they get together? Because they kind of get on with each other, and so there's that kind of romantic tension between them. But then, as the series goes on, as series 2 goes on, his fortunes go upward and hers go down. I mean, at one stage, I think she's looking for a new flat because she can't afford the place that she's in. That was on the Christmas special, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah.
And it's such a clever mechanism, their relationship. But there's lots of... Did you notice that there's lots of different mechanisms throughout the whole show? It's so clever.
Well, yeah, I kind of think I would have enjoyed it more watching it with you, darling, sitting next to you on the sofa rather than being 170 miles away. Because for me, I was reminded of the disappointment I felt post The Office.
Right.
which I hugely enjoyed. So I was an immediate, or pretty quickly, a fan of Ricky Gervais. I kind of fell for it with the trailers. I still remember the trailer made up my mind, oh, that's something I want to watch. And then Extras, I just... It'd be an exaggeration to say if the expectations or whatever, the delivery fell off a cliff, but it did feel a letdown. These things are in proportion to expectation, aren't they? We talked about this before and recently. And so it never lived up to the Office, and I felt it got... I don't know, I think I need to reassess it. I certainly enjoyed lots of elements of it, and I know what you're talking about. It is very clever, and there's some great witty lines there, and absolutely dry as a bone, as is Ricky Gervais's wont. But I felt getting the famous people in thing, it's that it can mean the old jumping the shark thing, which a lot of our listeners will be familiar with. There's even a website if you want to find out what it is, jumptheshark.com, when a comedy's just gone too far. It does happen though, doesn't it, with other shows where they bend the show around getting a celeb in who you get the opinion, you get the feeling that the celeb has approached them, and then they've had to write around that, rather than what you're suggesting with Ricky Gervais is so, him reaching out to them.
I see. This is probably just in my fantasy land of a head, but the choice of people that he had on, again, suggested to me that this came directly from Ricky Gervais, rather than let's write some gags around a celebrity and then somebody from the production team will invite them in. Yeah, whoever's in the building at the time will get them in. I really get the sense that this is who Ricky Gervais wanted to be.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But notwithstanding what I've just said, yeah, it does feel authored in that sense, and that it's come from him, because famously Ricky Gervais is a sort of lifelong Bowie fan. And,
well, he actually did I send you those pictures? I can't remember whether I did. Where a young Ricky Gervais, when he was in a band.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah,
he looked just like Bowie, didn't he?
Oh, well, there was a pre-Office show, wasn't there, which I hadn't seen before. You sent me a link to. We should tweet that out as well, shouldn't we?
It was a Channel 4 thing, wasn't it?
Yeah,
one of the comedy
prior to the Office.
Was it Comedy Labs thing that they did?
Yeah, it was a one-off.
Stupid name for a series, Comedy Labs, Comedy Lab.
Yeah, we knew who got that. Who they got that off, even though their show came first.
Yeah,
yeah. But they got in a time machine, though, didn't they? And nicked our ideas.
Yeah, and they'd have got away with it too if it hadn't been for those pesky kids. Where I got that from?
What with a sheet over their head? Yeah. Right, well, you managed to confuse me as well as the rest of the English-speaking audience, which is pretty much all of them, as we're speaking in English.
So let me just, so you're saying that The Office set a bar for you and this didn't surpass that bar? Is that what you're saying? Is that...
Yes, but that's not an unreasonable thing. I know you're struggling to get your head around that, because it sounds to me like you prefer that if you had to choose, you'd choose Extras over The Office. Have I got that right, or have I got that wrong? If you're only allowed one on your desert island.
Oh boy, that's a tough one.
That'll be a new series, Desert Island Slab.
I would choose the Extras, and I tell you why. It's because, again, I think there's more clever writing mechanisms in...
See, mechanisms to some people will be a very unsexy turn-off word, but that's us in analytic slabular mode.
Well, let me give you an example. I already mentioned Maggie, his friend, and the relationship between them. He's also got that thing going on with his rival, Greg, who... That's
the swarthy, darker guy who's getting some success.
Well, he's getting critical acclaim, which is what Gervais really craves, isn't it? He's got that relationship with his agent where Stephen Merchant is absolutely useless as his agent, but he hasn't got the heart or the ruthlessness to to sack him. There's all these kind of, it's like multi-layered to me, whereas The Office, I think, was kind of like, as Ricky Gervais said, it just came out of this character that he had called Seedy Boss, and, it was...
I think it's before you get more emails, I think it's Sleazy Boss.
No, it was Seedy Boss.
Oh, I was told Sleazy Boss. Well,
no.
I'll have to sack my advisor then. So sorry.
Oh, it's okay. But yeah, and so I don't. The good thing was it was the mockumentary. It was one of the first of the mockumentary, wasn't it? In that sense, The Office. But to me, that's where its innovation stopped. It was funny. I mean, there's no question about it. But I think I would choose Extras because I think it is multi-layered and very clever, very clever. And you got David Bowie coming in for an episode. You'd try and wring every last drop out of him, wouldn't you? Get as much as you could, get as much screen time, but they don't.
Yeah, well, that's part of my disappointment. It's not the duration of it, it's that it's a single gag. We'll get to it in clip 3. Somewhat inevitably, what are you laughing at? Laughing at me?
I'm thinking of the scene, that was all, sorry.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, you I didn't realise at the time because I hadn't seen this episode before, but you kind of gave a little bit away, but then you retracted it last week when we were setting up the homework for this past week. You sang a little something.
Chubby little family.
Stop it. That's a spoiler alert. Anyway, yeah, so... Not that you're asking me my headline, but I've obviously managed to forget the rules of the Comedy Slab, and I actually was over-prepared, and I'd written my own headline. Do you want to hear it, even though, in theory, because I set the homework, I shouldn't give the headline?
No, the first rule of Comedy Slab is there are no rules of Comedy Slab.
No, don't mention the rules of Comedy Slab.
Oh, that was it, yeah.
Anyway, my headline, whether or not you want to hear it, is The Man Who Undersold Himself.
Oh.
See what I did there?
Yeah. The man who sold the world, the man who undersold himself, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that joke falls a bit flat. We will talk about it later on, but it sounds like it worked a treat for you, which is fine. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
As ever. I wanted to like this a bit more, really. But it's a one gag thing, and perhaps I should pause that until we get to that third and final clip. Let's get into the second clip.
Okay.
As I attempt to remind myself what it is I have clipped. Well, we find them in the pub. That's Andy Millman, our Ricky Gervais character, and the aforementioned Maggie Jacobs. Actually, can I just say, on that, I don't think I ever felt they were going to get together as a romantic couple because the sniping the whole time. And also, I have got a problem with the Maggie Jacobs / Ashley Jensen character, which is she's just a little too obviously not very bright. I think that's a bit beyond belief.
Two things, and I'll probably remember the second thing if I just tell you the first thing. But the first thing is... I didn't think they'd get together. I always watched it and thinking, oh, why don't they get together? But knowing you're right that they wouldn't ever get together.
Right.
The second thing is, I remembered it. I can't believe it. The second thing is, I don't think she's not very bright. I think she's a dreamer.
I have to digest that because obviously I'm not very bright.
I don't think it's intelligence. I think she just lives in her own. She inhabits her own space, lives in her own world. But I think she's what the Americans would call a lollygaga. She just kind of
lollygaga.
Yeah, she's just like a wastrel. She just kind of, she just fritters it all away because she's just in a world of her own. But I don't think she's stupid.
She's certainly socially awkward, but then a lot of Ricky Gervais's comedy is around social awkwardness.
Yeah, yeah.
He says that's replaced, now that hopefully most of us don't have to worry about putting food on the table. What's left is the principal human worry, and it's about being seen, being laughed at in the wrong way, Anyway, there's me trying to get onto clip number 2. So, yeah, they're down the pub. Andy Millman is having his first taste, really, or an early taste of what fame's going to mean now he's in this hit sitcom. He gives it another name, which I won't repeat here, earlier in the show. But there's people hanging around there. But there is I've written down pub review. Anyway, look, I'm just going to play this clip. I've as ever, confused myself with what I've called this clip. So let's just hear it, and then Shane can pick up the pieces afterwards.
Wait, here's one. Who would you rather fight and have a decent chance of winning? A big fat hairy silverback gorilla or Thompson's gazelle?
Well, the gazelle.
I know, but you'd have to catch it first, because they're like...
Well, I wouldn't catch it. I turned up for the fight, it ran away, I win. Not my problem.
Oi, oi.
Oh.
No, don't be like that. A little bit of good news here.
All right, Sean.
All right. Barry and I were scouring the internet and we found a glowing review of your sitcom.
Really?
Listen to this. This charming story of lovable, larger-than-life characters will please all the family. This is a delightful woodland romp with many of the best scenes featuring a roly-poly toad.
Give me that. This is a review of Wind in the Willows.
What's yours called then? Oh, When the Wind Blows is his.
Whistle.
Whistle, yeah. I said that was a picture of a frog, didn't I? And not...
It's got the same throat.
I know, yeah. Well, you can see where we went wrong, yeah.
I'm gonna get a drink.
Have a look.
He's a ringer.
Oh, yeah. Except he's green.
Who, Andy or...?
Leaf
I just love all the little throwaway stuff, like the fact that Sean Williamson, I mean, even there, Ricky Gervais says, "All right, Sean," and then Darren, the agent, says, "Me and Barry," because he calls him from Barry from EastEnders, doesn't he? Because that's how he kind of thinks that's his name.
I didn't realise that I actually looked at the cast. That's a fabulous joke. I couldn't work out why they weren't using his actor's name, which is, as you say, Sean Williamson.
Yeah. He even calls him Bar. All right, Bar. Darren calls him that. But so there's all those kind of things going on that you just I don't know. I just love the way it's put together, the way it's constructed, the way the scenes are written. The only thing that annoys me is that the dialogue writing is very similar to The Office. The way that
the stumbles and
and it's a bit rude and. You know, that kind of thing I found very similar to The Office, and but I guess that's, I remember watching The Office at the time and thinking how realistic the dialogue and the writing was. So you can't have it both ways, I guess, can you really? I don't know, but
probably not.
It's just the whole exasperation of his situation. I mean, there isn't part of his situation that you could say that Andy Millman is happy with, would you really? He's not happy with his sitcom. He's not happy with his social life. He's not happy with his agent. He's not happy with his friends. He's not. It's just like everything is an exasperation to him, isn't it? It's kind of that wherever he goes, it just wears him down. You can see that. It's
yes,
it's very,
and I sorry, finish your point.
No, I was just going to say it's very clever because it is kind of real. I get a sense there's an autobiographical element to it as well, don't you?
Oh, definitely, because I don't think there'd be such a coordinated feel. And as I said, it does feel like an authored piece, and Ricky Gervais, the real Ricky Gervais, as opposed to a fictional version of him, as far as we know him, is a Bowie fan. In fact, here's the thing. When I was in the States once, just after The Office had taken off, but I happened to be with a British friend I'd flown out to see in Georgia, a weather girl, there's a thing. And but she wanted...
It's Raining Men.
One of those I was there. Well, she said I was a bit of a drip. I'm not sure if that was a reference to that. But anyway, the fact that that was almost a country name drop, because the point was she played me something which she'd got on BBC America, which was a replay. I think it was Ricky Gervais. It was definitely on a chat show. I have a feeling it was in those days, Jonathan Ross was still with the BBC, and it was probably Rossi. interviewing Gervais, and the previous week, this is the impression I get, and is it a coincidence, is it not? The previous week, Bowie had been on the same show. Ricky Gervais comes on, and one of the first things he says, oh, last week you had Bowie on, this week you got a chubby bloke from Reading. And so that's why it seems so autobiographical, because that's how he seems to see himself. And he's still, certainly then, that was the early days of his fame, as I say, he was struggling with how is a chubby bloke from Reading on the same sofa that Bowie's just been on the previous week?
Yeah.
How does that happen? And certainly, I mean, there's loads to like in extras generally, and I think I've got to reevaluate all of it and give it some more time. And I did enjoy the Christmas episode, which confusingly I interleaved with watching this. So if I refer to that by mistake, do steer me clear of that. But it's certainly a very clever reflection on the nature of contemporary celebrity. It's not too much of an exaggeration. If you're an anthropologist or some kind of social researcher, this would be a very good place to start on that topic. But it still manages to be hugely funny at times. But I'm still left with this hollowness thing. Which, I mean, and if Ricky Gervais was listening to this, not assuming he is, but he might say, that's the point, Nana, or words to that effect. It is about the hollowness of celebrity. So should I be surprised I go away feeling a bit hollow having watched it? I don't know, do you not feel down in a way? Because you talked about his exasperation as a character.
Yeah, you do. I mean, that's the whole point, isn't it? Is the situation of the situation comedy is that he's in this, he craved fame and fortune possibly as well, and having got that, it's still not what he wanted. He wasn't specific enough with his wish, was he? That it didn't become what he wanted. But it's like the autobiographical thing. I think it's interesting. There's a fan who joins him in the pub just after that scene, isn't that? Who I swore blind was Spencer Jones. I thought it was the guy with the long hair who's going, it's you, innit? Or the wig and the glasses and all that sort of stuff.
But it isn't, is it? 'Cause I've seen the glasses.
It's a guy called David Earl.
And Spencer Jones is channeling very deliberately, we talked on a previous Slab with Upstart Crow, he's channeling David Brent in a character he plays on Upstart Crow.
Yeah.
Very, I think, to great effect, although we couldn't quite decide why they'd gone down that route at the time, if I remember correctly.
No, it still doesn't make sense, does it, really, that? But
it's a bit of fun, though.
But yeah, so this guy is like, he's all over him. And it's interesting because he puts his mate on the phone. And he's saying, I don't want to talk to his mate. Then he goes, oh, hello, mate. How are you? Yeah. Oh, yeah, great. And he tells that story in his stand-up as well. I think when he's doing his stand-up about fame, Ricky Gervais, and he said he was staying in a hotel where there was a wedding. He said, and I'm just managing to get through the reception, he said, where they're all drunk and dancing and all that sort of stuff. And he said, I just get to the door, put my hand on the door handle, and I hear, Brent! And he thinks, oh, God, no, somebody, no. And he said, what does he think is going to happen? I'm going to turn around and go, oh, was that you cheeky monkey, eh? Yeah? Can we be best mates? Can we? And it is that kind of, it's that Victor Meldrew, isn't it? It's the people turning up to him and going, I don't believe it. What did people think was going to happen in that situation? They think they were going to be their best friend forever. And there's that element of fame, isn't there, where people have that connection and to you, but you don't have one to them because you've never met them before and you don't know who they are.
I liken it to sort of half-silvered mirrors where you can see through one way but not the other. You're seeing a reflection of yourself from one side. My dad used to say, because he worked in the West End, not in showbiz, in commercial art, but he used to see loads of famous people and it would drive us nuts. The cry always rang up in the Lacey household, well, why didn't you get their autograph in the days when that would have meant something to me? Autographs don't mean so much these days, with one or two exceptions. But my dad's line always after he said, oh, I just saw that actor from da-da-da-da, he looked at me as if to say, do you know who I am? But my dad, the last thing my dad would ever have done, well, under normal circumstances, would be to go up to them. So it was always funny that my dad turned it round, that they were looking at him. But there is that look where I had this once with Tom Robinson, and he told me afterwards, #name drop, but he said, I looked at you for a bit because I wasn't sure if I knew you.
Yes.
And he didn't know me, and I didn't. I obviously recognised him, but it's that weird. It's an asymmetric warfare, isn't it? Really.
I don't know if I think I've probably told you this and bored you with this story before.
Bore me again, love.
When I was going to do an interview with Sir David Frost, and as it was backstage at the Buxton Opera House, and as I walked down the corridor, I could hear him. And it became apparent that he was on his phone to. It turned out it was his wife who was on the phone too. But he was obviously a family member or a close friend or something like that. And he was saying, "Yeah, no, it went really well tonight." Yeah, he said. And I was kind of walking down the corridor. I could hear him saying, "Yeah, no, I'll be back to the hotel a bit later." He said, "I'm doing an interview with Shane O'Connor. And then I'm going straight back to that." And the hair stood up on the back of my neck because
he was mentioning your name.
Yeah, because it was almost like, my God, Sir David Frost almost knows who I am because he knows how to pronounce the letters in the right order in my name that he's probably read on a piece of paper. But it was, and so it's the reverse of that. It was kind of, I'd never experienced that before, and that was wonderful. That was a wonderful moment. What a great man. What a great man.
Anyway, right, so we come to, I suppose, the crescendo of the piece, really, because it is with Mr. Bowie itself. So they meet in Castro's. Did you think that might be a reference, by any chance, to Groucho?
Groucho's, yeah.
Yeah, that was rather nice. So Barry from EastEnders, as the character is called, Bar, suggests going there because Andy Millman's getting troubled. Now he's famous, he's getting troubled by these fans. And by the way, we forget the word fan is short for fanatic. So why are we always so surprised that they behave fanatically? And in certain situations, I've embarrassed myself, so I'd be careful how too superior I sound on that one. But anyway, so they want to get away from the fans, so they go to a Borgia place where the showbiz people hang out. But of course, even there's an extra special area which is cordoned off for the super celebs, which Mr. Millman is temporarily in, and then he has to give way to Mr. Bowie. And then he... what were you going to say? I think you were going to add something there.
It was just, there was a lovely part of the scene as well where at a later date, he pays to go in. I don't know if I'm reading your clip here, but he notices that the cord rope is the other side of Ashley Jensen. And like they sit on the other side, it's the same sofa. He said, I can't believe it.
Yeah. Also, nice. Another spoiler, forgive us, but before we get to the point I'm about to play you, he's going to tip the security guy to let him into the area. He tries a low amount at first and then just gets scoffed at, kind of thing. And then he says, 50. And then apparently the guy's going to let him through for 50. And then he realises he hasn't got any tens. We're back to the £20 notes again. I said, I can only give you 40 or 60. As if, well, which are you going to choose? Which would you prefer? 40
the guy goes, well, 60 then. But you see, I thought that was clever because, again, that was like almost the same gag with the guy who was homeless in the street, but with a different set of circumstances. That was then, it was something he wanted, kind of thing. And I thought, but it was a clever twist on the same kind of thing. Yeah.
I hadn't spotted that first time round, but that's a good point. More social commentary and more depth. And by the way, sorry, we will get into the clip, but the actor playing the guy in the street, the homeless man, is called Richard Morris. Is he by any chance related to a radio comedy producer called Richard Morris, I wonder? I didn't get time to look that up at the end, but I just float that there, because that might be how he knew Ricky. But hey, I could be totally wrong. Okay, so to clip number 3, and what's David Bowie going to make of this actor, Andy Millman, who Bowie doesn't know, but wants to pour his heart out to him?
Hi. I was just saying that I'm an entertainer too.
Oh, yeah? What do you do?
I'm in a sitcom.
It's called When the Whistle Blows. Have you seen it?
I haven't, no. Is it any good?
No, it's just riffraff everywhere.
Not going down too well, huh?
It's getting 6 million viewers. So, I mean, it's not exactly how I meant it to be, because the BBC have interfered and sort of chased ratings and made it the lowest common denominator sort of comedy, sort of catchphrases and wigs. And I think I've sold out, to be honest. But
Yeah.
it's difficult, isn't it, to keep your integrity when you're going for that first.
Little fat man who sold his soul.
The
Little fat man who sold his dream. Chubby little loser. Chubby little loser. National joke. No, not chubby little loser. No. Pathetic little fat man. No one's bloody laughing. The clown that no one laughs at. They all just wish he died.
And of course, anybody who knows David Bowie knows that he actually writes songs by the cut-up method. So he'd never sit down at the piano like that. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yeah.
Did he do that? Did he do that all the time?
I think a lot of the time, yeah. And I think he used to use what are those cards? Oh, I always get into these stories, and I can't remember what it was.
File card type things.
No, there's these. Is it something like Oblique
Rolodex.
Outcomes or something like that?
Yes, the guy Brian Eno's. Oblique Strategies.
Oblique Strategies. That's it. Yeah, I think he kind of uses that method as well, but which is why a lot of his songs are so obscure. He probably does. He probably used to use all kinds of methods, I guess, but that was one of the ways he used to do it.
Right.
What I love though about that is that, like Ricky Gervais's opening gambit to David Bowie is, "I'm an entertainer. I'm in entertainment too." Like he dares, and again, it's so clever the writing because Ricky Gervais's fans that he doesn't like profess to be on a level with him, and he does exactly the same to the hierarchy, to David Bowie. He does exactly the same to him.
Yeah, well, that we are deferential creatures, aren't we? But you can't have too many people right at the top of the tree. But yeah, absolutely, yeah. That's another depth to it, isn't it? It's like an onion with loads of layers.
It's curious though, isn't it? But rather than going in there and going, "Oh, Mr. Bowie, I'm such a massive fan of yours. I remember buying Lodger and I played it until I wore it flat or whatever," He sort of says, "Hello, yeah, we're just saying I'm on the same level as you." And you just think, what are you thinking? What are you doing?
In the narrow sense, it's true, though, isn't it? I mean, he's trying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, and it's outrageous in a way. But when you don't know how a star is going to react, you don't know which method is going to be the best to approach them. Either sort of puff your chest up a bit, and because I'm sure a lot of them don't like this humble bit because they don't know where to go with it. I'm not worthy to even talk to you, but and that's not a good gambit either.
And you're trying to do it all behind a veil of normalcy as well, aren't you? I mean, where really, you're probably thinking, "Oh my god, I can't believe it, it's David Bowie."
You're trying to keep your voice down and often.
Yeah, it's that. And I don't know. It was the same. Like I say, I thought it was very layered. The whole thing. I mean, I thought Bowie played a blinder as well. I thought, I don't know how scripted, rehearsed, and edited that was, but I just thought as a scene, I just think it's just fab, isn't it? I mean, it just really works.
Well, you're trying to include me in your analysis, and okay, I've moved a bit since I've seen your utter devotion to this show. And yes, you have opened my eyes to some of the subtleties and the extra cleverness. I never thought it wasn't clever, but I just found it very flat. There's a single joke, and it is to come back to this chat show clip I saw out in the States, but it was from UK TV. It seemed to be him I don't resent people writing for therapy. That's probably situation normal for writers, creative writers generally. But it's when I feel I'm being sort of signed up to their therapy, and I feel a bit, well, come on, I'm sitting here, I pay my license fee, I want to laugh too, and I want a story that will relate to me, and I don't want to feel I'm kind of being used for your therapy. This is not just a thing against Ricky Gervais, this is a general point, which might be an odd one, but hey, that's how I feel. And then I think Bowie, well, I said, the man who undersells himself, it's one gag. It's a gag about a chubby little guy, happens to be from Reading, as we know, the actor, and it doesn't go anywhere. And you've read it one way. You've said, "Oh, look at the chutzpah, the cheek, or the bravery of putting Bowie right at the end." I said Bowie, not Bowie. But to me, that's an underuse. And I did even wonder. I was feeling a bit cynical about it. Certainly after the first watch, I thought, "Oh, Bowie said you've got an hour of my time. What can we do in that time?"
Absolutely
Which may
right.
well be the case.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I think when you get to that level of celebrity, the difficulty is that the artist very often doesn't know what the entourage around them are saying. Who was it? Somebody was saying about Geldof when he was trying to get people to sign up for Live Aid, and he said he'd talk to their management and say, well, no, they're far too busy. He said, but when I actually spoke to the artist, there wasn't one that turned me. Well, there was very few that turned him down.
Yeah,
they all wanted to do it. But if I hadn't got past that, he said, if I hadn't got the contacts to get past that, they'd never have even known.
Oh,
yeah. But yeah, I think you're right. I think there was an element to that as well. Maybe you're kind of saying, well done to them for keeping it so short. You're right. They probably didn't have much of a choice in it, really. I don't know. I still, what you're saying, in a way, it's like saying to somebody, or somebody says to you, "Would you like me to tell you a story?" And you go, "Yes, please." And you go, "Well, once upon a time, there was a man called." And you go, "No, not that one. I want you to tell me this story."
Yeah, I want it to go my way.
Yeah, which is, it's just a human thing, isn't it? I mean, it's absolutely understandable, but in a way, I'm the opposite of that. I want people to tell a story that I would never think of, or that I would never, not relate to, that's the wrong word, but I would never think of kind of going down that route. I want something that
surprises you,
isn't like me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I should probably embrace it. Yeah. Anyway, look, let's get to the scores. I think I've disgraced myself. No, I think I've. Yeah. You might be surprised where I'm going now. Anyway, who's to go first? Can't remember who did.
Shall I go first?
Yeah, go on then.
I will give it. Can I just say as well, my favourite line out the whole of this episode was when they were doing that thing where is it 80085 and it spells boobs on
upside down.
And Ricky Gervais's agent says, "Here, are you like his program? You'll love this."
Oh yeah, that's another that it was thrown away. By the way, Stephen Merchant, brilliant. In fact, I think it's not going to win me any friends, but I think he's actually stronger as a character and possibly as a comedy actor than Ricky Gervais. But whisper that.
Oh no, I think
probably get beaten up for saying it.
There is something to be said with that. I think that is something that isn't too out there. I will give it, probably no surprise, I'll give it out of 5, 4.5.
Right, I wasn't sure whether it'd be 4 or 4.5.
4.5, yeah.
Okay.
I was going to give it a 4, but to be honest with you, it is, to me, it is the David Bowie of sitcoms.
Right.
It's up and beyond. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, I gotcha. Well, I'm not going to stint really, because I realise the show's bigger than me and bigger than my gripes, and Bowie likewise, and Gervais likewise. So I'm going to give it 3.5 because it would be ridiculous to go below that. I think I've got to go away and do a bit more homework. It's me, it's not him. And that needs to reflect high production values and all the other things. And the fact that I think it will be a grower on me. I gave up too easily on the series. And as we speak, I should have said earlier, they're all on BBC iPlayer, maybe for some time. And I do recommend, as I think Shane will, the Christmas special. But that comes right at the very end. That is the last in the sequence. So maybe don't race there if you've got time to pace yourself with the other ones.
Yeah, it's a nice little surprise on iPlayer, isn't it, that?
Okay. So,
next week...
Oh, we didn't tot up. Did we tot up?
8 out of 10.
Yeah, very good. 8 out of 10 of us can do sums. Yes, to you, to the next week's homework.
All right, I'm going to... I'm going to go for another one that is TV, commercial TV this time. This is a Channel 4 jobby. But he's still on their online presence. They're awful. All four.
As you affectionately call it, yeah.
Despite the fact that it's, I think, about 10 years old. Might even be more than 10 years old now. I can't accurately remember, but around about 10 years old. So it's quite amazing that it's still on there. I wouldn't have thought it would have been. It stars a guy, I don't know if you've come across him. He's been he's carved out quite a nice little career as cameo appearances in motion pictures in America. His name is Rafe Spall.
Any relation to Timothy?
It's his son. Timothy is his dad.
Right.
Although you wouldn't guess that from looking at him, because in build they are very, very different. His mum, actually, curiously enough, I don't know if you know this. Do you know what Timothy Spall's wife's called?
No.
Shane.
There's a thing.
Who would call their child willingly call them Shane?
A female child.
Child. A female child. And they've got
another name
Shane.
for a bloke. Anyway.
Yeah, sorry, I got a bit off piece there. Rafe Spall stars as Pete. Have you heard of this story? Is any of this ringing a bell or not?
No,
okay, the series is called Pete versus Life, and it's got, the reason I've chosen it is because it's got quite an unusual sort of, using that word again, mechanism going on, where there are two sports commentators that they cut to, who commentate on Pete's actions and how he did in a particular situation. One of them you will know very well, but I won't spoil it for you. And so that's really, I think, why it's called Pete versus Life. It's as if it's a game and Pete is playing it. I have to say, Pete isn't, as you can imagine, playing it too well. Otherwise, it wouldn't provide for the comedic hilarity that we're going to need to have. I thought I'd go with Series 1. There were two series. Series 1, Episode 1, called Eco Warrior. You can find it on the All 4 website. If you just type in Pete, it comes up, actually. If you just type in Pete, you don't even have to worry about spelling verses. But Pete versus Life is our homework for next week.
I shall look forward to that. I've already mentioned we're at Comedy Slab on Twitter. We've also got a Facebook page, similarly at Comedy Slab. Do recommend us to friends, family, all people, all walks of life, if you'd be so kind. And a generous star rating on iTunes / Apple Podcasts would be warmly received. Thank you very much.
And thanks to the people who've joined us. I'm just looking at the figures over Christmas as well. We continue to attract new listeners. Whether we continue to keep new listeners will be entirely different matter. But thanks.
Don't cast a pall across some good news.
Thanks for bothering anyway. We like the fact that you bothered to do that. Yeah. So if you want to catch us on other platforms from the one you've caught us on already, Spreaker, of course, is where we lodge, as they used to call it in the 50s. But we're on
when the interweb was analog in them days.
Yes, was when the internet was a book. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and you name it. In fact, if you've got a favourite podcatcher, we're there. If we're not, let us know, because somebody's breaching a contract somewhere.
Yes. I'm going off to write a song about Shane that under no circumstances will have the phrase "bald little fat man," because that would be unkind and untrue. Yes.
Meantime, I'm going to go and find... He's got me intrigued now. I'm going to go and find out just how much my rotator cuffs rotate.
Be careful.